Breakfast is the most crucial meal of the day. You've been told this your entire life. Breakfast is the most crucial meal of the day. Seems like an unbreakable health principle, correct? Wrong. That statement didn't originate from some revolutionary scientific research. It originated from advertising. In the late 1800s, a man named John Harvey Kellogg, yes, the cornflakes creator, began promoting breakfast aggressively. Then, in the 1900s, food corporations amplified it because they were marketing cereal by labeling it necessary. It was so successful that now people believe missing breakfast is basically unacceptable. But here's what's real. Research doesn't support this claim. Consuming breakfast isn't some miraculous solution to losing weight, improved concentration, or extended lifespan. Research demonstrates what truly counts is your complete nutrition and habits, not if you consumed eggs at 8 a.m. Some individuals genuinely feel energized eating right after waking up. Others feel lethargic and choose to delay. Intermittent fasting is essentially the practice of completely skipping breakfast, and countless people globally flourish on that approach. Your body operates on fuel from the food you've consumed over time, not according to the time. If you're starving in the morning, have something. If not, then just don't bother. Camels store water in their humps. Everyone imagines camels as mobile water containers, holding gallons of water in those large humps on their backs. Makes perfect sense, right? A desert creature, a massive hump, has to be a water reservoir. But here's what's true. Those humps consist of fat, not water. Camels accumulate up to 80 pounds of fat in there, and that serves as their energy stockpile. It's like their traveling snack reserve. When nourishment is limited, they metabolize that fat to stay alive. So, if the hump contains fat and not water, where does the water myth originate from? Camels are simply incredibly efficient at handling hydration. They can consume an incredible quantity when they locate water, up to 40 gallons in a single session, and then survive for weeks without another drink. Their systems are experts at preservation. Their red blood cells have an oval shape, so circulation continues even when hydration is minimal, and they can allow their body temperature to vary, so they don't perspire as heavily. They're engineered for desert endurance. But water in the hump? That's complete movie fiction. Humans only have 5 senses. You've likely heard this since elementary school. Humans have 5 senses: sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. Seems standard, right? But it's completely inaccurate. The concept of 5 senses dates all the way back to Aristotle, and we've simply been echoing it ever since. In actuality, researchers have confirmed at least 9 senses, and some claim over 20 beyond the major 5. You've got equilibrium, known as the vestibular sense, which prevents you from collapsing every time you rise. Then there's proprioception, your body's recognition of where your limbs are positioned without visual confirmation. Ever tap your nose with your eyes shut? That's proprioception. You also possess thermoception, detecting warmth and coldness, nociception for discomfort, and even interoception, which informs you things like when you're starving or need to take a breath. If we truly had only 5 senses, moving in a direct line or even surviving would be impossible. So, next time someone claims humans have 5 senses, inform them they overlooked at least 4 additional ones, and that's being conservative. You should pee on jellyfish stings. Perhaps you've tried it, or perhaps you've witnessed it in films. Someone gets stung by a jellyfish and their companion steps forward with the ultimate rescue technique: pee on the sting. Hollywood portrays it like a remedy, but in truth, it can worsen things. Here's the reason. Jellyfish stings result from microscopic venom-loaded cells called nematocysts. When they activate, they inject toxin into your skin, and some of these stingers can remain primed and ready to activate. The worst thing you want is to set them off again. And take a guess what urine can do? Based on its salt content and temperature, it can actually trigger those cells to discharge additional venom. So, well done, you've just been urinated on and it now stings worse. The actual solution? Rinse with ocean water, not tap water, because that also activates the stingers, and then immerse the spot in heated water. Temperature helps decompose the toxins and reduce the discomfort. Or, if you have it available, vinegar is effective for specific species. So next time you're at the shore and someone gets stung, avoid the heroic pee gesture. Or, after you've stepped forward and executed it, you can inform them it was completely useless. Chameleons don't try to camouflage. Everyone assumes chameleons can just become invisible whenever they want, merging into any environment like some reptilian illusionist. Green forest, they become green sandy wasteland. They shift tan. Seems impressive, but it's largely a misconception. Chameleons don't alter color to disappear into their surroundings. They do it to express themselves and control temperature. Those striking color transformations are essentially just visual emotions. Feeling hostile, vibrant colors? Calm, more muted tones. Overheated and need to cool off? They brighten to deflect heat. Chilly? They shift darker to absorb warmth. How did they accomplish it? Their skin contains specialized cells called chromatophores and nanocrystals that bounce light uniquely depending on how they expand or shrink. This produces everything from minor shade variations to complete rainbow exhibitions. But merging in like a flawless camouflage specialist, that's Hollywood illusion. Sure, they might correspond with some environmental colors coincidentally, but they're not actively recoloring themselves to blend in and become undetectable. Carrots give you night vision. You've encountered this one repeatedly. Consume your carrots and you'll have the ability to see in darkness. Sounds incredible, right? Unfortunately, it's complete fiction. With a historical twist, carrots do contain beta-carotene, which your system converts into vitamin A, and vitamin A is essential for optimal vision. But does it grant you night vision abilities? Not remotely. If you're drastically lacking in vitamin A, carrots will assist in restoring regular vision, but they won't transform you into a nighttime hunter. So, where did this misconception originate? Credit: World War II. Propaganda. The British Royal Air Force possessed radar technology that allowed them to identify enemy aircraft at night, but they didn't want Germany to discover this. So, they announced their pilots had exceptional night vision because they consumed massive amounts of carrots. The narrative spread rapidly, and people continue believing it. Now carrots are beneficial for you, but if you're expecting to abandon your headlights after eating a few carrots, think again. The only thing carrots provide you at night is orange-stained teeth. Blood is blue inside your veins. You've likely heard someone declare, "Your blood is blue until it contacts the air." Makes sense if you've ever examined your veins. They appear blue, correct? But here's the reality. Human blood is never blue. Not in your veins, not in your heart, not anywhere. It's consistently red, just varying shades based on oxygen concentration, brilliant red when it's saturated with oxygen, deeper red when it's transporting less. So, why do your veins appear blue? That's an optical trick caused by how light infiltrates your skin and reflects back. Blue light possesses a shorter wavelength, so it disperses more readily than red light, causing veins to look bluish beneath the skin. The blue blood concept became so widespread that some individuals even believe your blood transforms red only when it encounters oxygen incorrect. Injure yourself, and you don't witness a color transformation because it was already red. This misconception may also stem from certain creatures like horseshoe crabs that genuinely do possess blue blood. But humans, we're limited to red. Blue blood aristocracy, that's merely a figure of speech. Never wake a sleepwalker. If you've ever witnessed someone sleepwalk, you've likely heard, "Don't disturb them, it's hazardous." The tale goes that if you wake them, they'll suffer a cardiac arrest, experience shock, or become mentally unstable permanently. Sounds frightening, but it's complete fiction. Awakening a sleepwalker won't terminate them. It might disorient or alarm them, but that's the extent of it. Sleepwalking occurs during profound sleep, so when you rouse them, their brain is essentially restarting. They'll likely be disoriented and clueless about what's happening, but they'll be perfectly fine. So, where did this notion originate? Primarily old beliefs and anxiety about interfering with sleep, because sleep has always appeared enigmatic and sacred. The actual danger isn't waking them, it's allowing them to wander. Sleepwalkers can perform some quite dangerous things. Exit outside, ascend stairs, even operate vehicles in unusual cases. That's where injuries occur. So, the optimal approach: carefully direct them back to bed if possible. If that's not feasible, just rouse them. Lightning never strikes the same place twice. You've likely encountered this one as a figure of speech for uncommon occurrences. Lightning never strikes the same place twice. Sounds poetic, like nature follows a guidebook. But here's the reality: lightning doesn't respect cliches. It definitely strikes the same location repeatedly and repeatedly. In reality, elevated structures like skyscrapers, transmission towers, and even trees are attractors for lightning. The Empire State Building gets struck approximately 20 to 25 times every single year. Why? Because lightning follows the route of minimal resistance, and a large metal structure extending into the atmosphere is essentially a beacon. So the next time someone uses that expression, remember, lightning's not selective. If you're positioned in the incorrect location during a storm, it might strike you twice just to make its point. Sharks can smell a drop of blood from miles away. You've witnessed this moment in every shark film. One minuscule drop of blood enters the water, and miles distant, a great white enters a rage, homing in like it possesses some kind of tracking system. Sounds horrifying, correct? But in actuality, that's Hollywood exaggeration, not reality. Sharks do possess an extraordinary sense of smell, among the finest in the animal world. But the entire miles distant concept is vastly exaggerated. In reality, they can identify blood at concentrations of approximately 1 part per million. That's incredibly impressive, but it equates to something like a drop of blood in an Olympic-sized swimming pool, not the whole ocean. And even then, currents, waves, and water circulation disperse scent rapidly. So, no, if you slice your finger in Hawaii, a shark in California isn't pursuing you. They're remarkable predators, but they're not horror film caliber. Still, likely don't experiment with this by bleeding in the water, because if a shark's in the vicinity, it's certainly going to detect it. Humans swallow 8 spiders a year while sleeping. You've likely encountered this disturbing claim. Every year while you slumber, 8 spiders enter into your mouth. Visualize that. Mid-sleep, and a spider chooses to enter your open mouth or through one of your nostrils. It sneaks beyond your lips, establishes residence, and vanishes permanently. Horrifying, correct? Great news! It's absolute rubbish. Spiders don't desire to approach anywhere near your mouth. Consider it: moist, warm, moving, and packed with teeth. That's essentially their ultimate nightmare. The vibrations of your respiration, your snoring, even your pulse send them fleeing in the opposite direction. They hunt where it's silent and motionless, not atop a snoring behemoth who might crush them any moment. So, where did this nightmare originate? The explanation that the typical human consumes 8 per year is because one individual is distorting the statistics and consuming 64 billion to influence the rest of us. In truth, the probability of consuming even 1 spider in your lifetime are minuscule, unless you're intentionally doing it, so calm down. There's nothing creeping into your mouth at night unless you're that one individual. Pirates made people walk the plank. Every pirate film features it. The theatrical scene where the antagonist brandishes a sword and growls, "Walk the plank!" The crew assembles, they pound the drums, and the victim performs that slow, shaking tiptoe toward the brink. They splash into the shark-filled waters while everyone celebrates. It's legendary, but almost completely fabricated. Historical documentation shows minimal to no proof of actual pirates employing this technique. Why? Because pirates weren't staging theatrical productions. They were operating a venture. Time was valuable, and making someone to balance on a board was just impractical. If they wanted you eliminated, they'd hurl you overboard, stab you, or hold you for ransom. Quick, straightforward, and frightening in its own manner. Walking the plank didn't actually emerge until the 19th century in books and theatrical productions, and then Hollywood exploited it. So, the reality: You weren't taking a dramatic walk to your demise. You were getting thrown or stabbed, then thrown. Less theatrical, but the result was identical. You lose most body heat through your head. You've likely heard this one from every guardian ever. Put on a hat or you'll become frozen. Most of your body warmth exits through your head. Sounds legitimate, correct? It even sounds research-based, like your head is some type of exhaust that releases heat into the frigid winter atmosphere. But it's a misconception originating from flawed research. The concept originated from a 1950s military study where soldiers in freezing temperatures wore winter clothing except on their heads. Naturally, they lost more heat there. That was the only exposed skin uncovered. The reality is, heat exits from any bare skin, and it's relative to the surface area. Your head is only approximately 10% of your body, so unless you're some type of enormous floating head, it's not where you're losing most of your heat. If you ventured outside unclothed wearing just a hat, you'd still freeze in moments. Naturally, a hat still benefits you in winter, but so do trousers, gloves, socks, and essentially anything else protecting your skin. If you want to remain warm, dress like a complete human. Owls are wise. Owls have been the creature representation for intelligence forever. Ancient Greece designated them Athena's symbol. Children's books provide them spectacles, and animated shows portray them like academics. They're positioned on the shoulders of sorcerers dispensing guidance in enchanted forests. And for ages, we've regarded them like nature's thinkers, but in actuality, owls aren't the intellectuals of the avian kingdom. They're more like the powerful, quiet variety. Yes, they're phenomenal hunters, but that's programming, not intelligence. They're nocturnal killers, not scholars. Compare them to crows or ravens, which can complete puzzles, identify human faces, and even utilize tools. And owls appear somewhat oblivious. Crows can release nuts on pedestrian crossings, so vehicles split them open. Owls, they just perch there, appearing enigmatic. Their massive eyes and unwavering gaze make them appear profound and contemplative. But that's just anatomy, not them being all philosophical. So next time you observe an owl gazing into the void, it's not contemplating life's profound questions. It's considering mouse or frog. Chickens can live without their heads for a few seconds. Everyone recognizes the expression running around like a headless chicken. But most individuals assume the story concludes in seconds. You remove the head, a little convulsing, and then finished. But the reality is considerably more bizarre. Sometimes that headless chicken doesn't just spasm, it continues living. Not for seconds, not even for minutes, but for hours. In one notorious case from 1945, a chicken named Mike survived for 18 months after losing his head. How is that even conceivable? It appears the brainstem, which manages fundamental life operations like respiration and heartbeat, can remain undamaged if the cut is elevated enough. So Mike's body simply continued functioning. Farmers nourished him through an eyedropper directly into his throat, and he became a nationwide sensation, touring the US as the Headless Marvel Chicken. Contemplate that for a moment. You're observing a chicken with no face, no eyes, no beak, just a body and a heartbeat. Was he conscious? Could he sense anything? Or was it pure programming driving him forward? Researchers aren't certain, and truthfully, I couldn't explain it either. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give me a subscribe, like, and comment.